Well, welcome to the Stone Roadie podcast. It's the one you don't want to miss. It stars Craig Reed, the Stone Roadie, and Griff, the rocket scientist. Let's not forget Kathy got to, and all the old friends come along. Lord Willie talking Skinner, and leaving you with a song.
Podcast 75, action. Alrighty then, and welcome to another edition of the Stone Roadie Show. My name's Craig Reed, aka the Stone Roadie, and this is my co-host, the rocket scientist, Mr. Griff Martin. And what do we got going on this Saturday night, Griff?
Well, I don't know. I feel a little weird, Craig. I ought to wear a blonde wig so I could be Kathy Godson. You know, I did that one time before. We had to do this today because I was on the road with Griff Martin during the middle of the week, and I wasn't able to jump on there with Craig. So we decided to turn it into a Saturday night special. Went to Gillsburg and met some folk up there, some of the people there, board members, Dwayne Easley, some guys that you guys are going to want to meet. They have some really cool stuff to show, and they found something of Craig's that was on the plane, and it's got Craig's name written on the back, and I know Craig wrote it on the back because it's all neat writing. It says Reed. Belonged to Craig. They found it on the ground out there with a plane crash and some other really cool stuff. And I did some interviews with those guys up there at the monument. Had a great time up there. Always do. Always love going there. But anyway, what else has been going on, Craig? I hadn't seen you, hadn't talked to you in about a week. What you been up to? I saw you fixed some video. You're able to put video behind you now.
Oh yeah, I see.
Fixed up.
Got a little bit. Automotive here. He's been over here piddling around today. Let me see what he's got going on. Some background effects. Yeah, it's on my green screen here. We got a little bit of that going on. And then I wanted to get Cowboys and Indians circling the wagon, shooting arrows around me, but that's as close as we could get.
That's pretty good. And then you got that one of you on stage with Ronnie, and you're in the background.
Yeah, that one there, yeah.
Yeah. See Craig in the background, a young Craig. See him way back there behind Alan.
And then here's some of my other pictures I got. You know, all these I can put behind me. You know, and here we are at the Rock Hall of Fame. You know, and
yeah, I haven't seen that picture before. That's a cool one.
Yeah. There's a cool one too, huh?
Yeah, that's one place I haven't been yet.
That's the Macon, Georgia, I believe, or
yeah,
Capricorn, I believe that's.
It hasn't changed a lot. I mean, you know, it's still pretty much the same. So people like to go there and take the picture.
Yeah, that's it, and yeah, and don't turn it off until you hear that. Are you finishing it off, you and your band, with Happy Trails?
Yeah, we can do that. We can put.
After the Muscle Shoals Gillsburg edition, we'll finish it off with Happy Trails to you.
Yeah.
Until we meet again. Happy trails to you, and may the good Lord take a liking to you. And this was podcast 75, and we're out of here, and we'll See you later down the road. See you later, alligator, at the wild crocodile, and don't go nowhere. We've got Griff Martin on the road with Griff Martin coming right to you. Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Oh, where's that doggone button? Oh, there it is.
Now right here, you guys remember Brenda. Brenda is the lady that she was the one that Artemis Pyle came to her house, and her husband, and she's the one that we interviewed the last time. Brenda, what you do? You kind of take care of things around here, don't you? Like clean off the monument concrete here and pick things up and keep things spick and span around here.
I'm not the only one. I just blow it off.
Yeah, you just blow it off. Well, we appreciate everything that you do, and thanks for your time volunteering for the monument, because you know, we got to keep this place clean, and looks like you're doing a good job. So we appreciate you, Brenda.
Thank you.
Now right over here, colorful cast of characters right here sitting on the bench. These guys right here are guys that are involved with the monument, and they kind of make things happen around here. Now this guy right here, Dwayne Easley, somewhat of a movie star, been interviewed by Rolling Stone a couple times, and he's also the guy that donated the property. And at the time, it was your property that the plane crashed on, right, Dwayne?
Family property. The
family property. And so Dwayne was the guy who jumped on the plane, pulled everybody out of there. Of course, you've probably seen him on several different interviews.
It wasn't just me, of course, it was
other people.
Gerald
yeah,
Law was with me.
Yeah. So Dwayne, he's got something really cool that he's going to show us, and we're going to talk to him some more. Mike Roundsville, he's a board member and was pivotal in doing some things to get the monument started and keep it going. And then we got Paul Conley here. Paul Conley, he's a collector, and he's also kind of an organizer. He does a lot of things for the monument, and we're really glad to have him. We're going to interview him. And then over here we have Latrell Metter. Now he's the guy that took me out to the crash site the last time, and he's got something really cool that he's going to show us. Is going to freak Craig Reed out, and Craig hasn't even seen this yet, so it's going to be real time when he sees it, and he's going to love it. So let's go back over here to Dwayne. And now Dwayne, I know a lot of people have interviewed you and talked about what all happened that night. We just kind of want to do like a Reader's Digest version of everything, because you've been over it so many times. But how far from here would you say the crash site is?
It's about 600 yards or so.
Yeah, and it's in the direction that they were coming. They were headed towards New Orleans, right?
No, they were headed trying to get back to Fernwood.
Oh, because they knew they were going to crash.
Yeah, they run out of gas. And
so they were coming from what direction? Was it?
Well, they were coming from the northeast to the southwest toward Baton Rouge. They realized they were running out of gas. They turned around, heading back northwest. Northeast, and they tried to they couldn't make it. They ran out of gas, so they tried to belly land and make a land in this field, and they just didn't make it.
And how was it that you heard about the plane crash at the time?
Well, the plane flew over my uncle's house down toward Gillsburg, and with no engines running, and they knew it was headed straight toward our house, so they called us on the phone. We got the call before it even crashed.
And so your first knowledge of it then came from somebody else.
Phone call. And then you, how did you find it? Well, we went looking for it. We didn't know where to look. We couldn't find it anywhere. We didn't, a lot of thousands of acre timber back there. Helicopter had come over once, going to the south. Went right over that house, and it went out of sight and out of hearing. So while we were trying to decide where to look, we saw the helicopter coming back, and it had a searchlight on then, and it was making big circles, big loops, So we just watched it, and when it stopped, we took off running toward it.
And so that's how you found it, was the helicopter.
Oh, yeah.
When you first got to the crash site, you were thinking it was a smaller plane, weren't you?
Oh, yeah.
And then when you saw it, what was in your mind then? It was like, oh my God, this is
how big it was, you know.
And then the first thing I think I remember talking to you that you did was you had to try to figure out how to get in it, and there was like a bent piece of metal in the way for you to get in there.
Yeah, well, the plane was split on the side.
Yeah.
A big split, and I could see a hand sticking out of that. I was able to peel that back and then shine my light up inside. I could see all those people up in there.
So at that time it was already kind of like dark then.
Yeah, it was getting dark, right.
And so then after that,
the searchlight was on, so I couldn't tell. All I could see very good there.
and if you guys want to hear more about this part, the story that Dwayne's, if you go back, and I can't tell you exactly which podcast it was, but he was on the Stone Roadie show, and he did an interview, and you can go back and take a look at that. You might have to binge watch a few of them to get to it. I'm not going to tell you which one it is. So we appreciate that, Dwayne. We're going to come back to you because you got something really cool that you can show us. And now, Mike Roundsville. Now, how far do you live from here, Mike?
250 miles.
250 miles? What's
Charleston, Mississippi.
So how is it you got involved in this Lynyrd Skynyrd monument? And when was it that you met Dwayne?
I met Dwayne the first time in January of 2015.
Yeah?
Found it on the internet, found Dwayne's niece and his sister. Had done an interview with Pat Adams out of Tennessee, www.tennesseeconcerts.com. Just pulled it up on the internet. Where was the Lynyrd Skynyrd plane crash? They had done an interview, found his niece on social media. She invited me down. She didn't know where the actual plane crash was, but she took me out to the tree where everybody carved their names, which, you know, the tree has fallen down since Hurricane Ivan pretty much
right
away. We lost a good old tree and tore the crash site up with a lot of big trees that fell in there. And they introduced me to Dwayne just through the phone, and then I came and met him about a month later at his house, and he carried me out there and told me all this story, showed me all his stuff and everything, and just what all he did out there. And we just got to be friends, and we got to talking about, and my first question was, why did they never put up a monument down there? Nothing, no marker, no nothing. And
right.
So kind of we got together, a few of us right around here of the Galesburg and Magnolia crew, and well, the results are right there.
So what was the first, that I would say the first bit of business that you did to have to get things off the ground? Didn't you have some trouble getting like permission to do it or something? Wasn't there some hurdles that you had to cross?
We were first going for a Blues Trail marker, and they shot us down on that deal. They said they didn't meet the criteria. They weren't from Mississippi. Well, we had JoJo Billingsley that was kind of on suspension from the band at the time, wasn't in there, but she's from Mississippi. And said they weren't a blues band and all this, so they kicked them out from getting that. We could have went back and got the little green Magnolia markers we call it with that. We didn't go that route, so we went straight to Brookhaven Monument, Dave Pace and them, and came up with this here. And we got my buddy Ken Morris and Karen Nelson from Florida that kind of grew up around the band in their same neighborhood, because her aunt was big buddies with all the boys in the band. And we sat down and did the verbiage you see on the monument, and the rest is history. As far as Dave and them designed the monument, we picked out the pictures and put all the Ken and Karen's verbiage on there. And there it's it.
So you guys started working on it in 2015? Is that when it started?
No, we actually started around late 2018. We started kind of talking about it. By 2019, we were kind of rolling with a so-so thrown together committee and just kind of winging it as we went along. And
what would you say was probably the biggest hurdle as far as getting the monument up? That was maybe the hardest thing that you had to do. Was anything in particular that was kind of like troubling to have to?
Talking to the landowner into giving us a piece of land.
Yeah.
No, he went right for it. He didn't have a problem. He said, yeah, that's no problem. I'll donate a little piece of land. And you know, we just got with Dave Pace, like I said, and Kevin Laird and them Brookhaven Monument, and they took it from there. We handed them our paperwork and all that, and they did that. They even did the little survivor stone you see over here we did back then.
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Yeah, that's right over there. It's got all the names of the
got it March 21,
all the,
I think it was. Yeah.
The passengers on there, yeah.
But they did a grand job with that, you know, with the monument itself. They took care of site prep, the concrete, everything pretty much.
Yeah, and so you guys are continually improving, like you just put in a new asphalt parking lot there, and now today I noticed the guys putting some irrigation in, so these guys, as far as contributions to the monument, it's a great thing because these guys can use the money, and if you guys come out here, you'll see they're continually working on trying to make it better, and coming through this way, you don't want to miss it. So appreciate it, Mike. We're going to come back to you because you got something cool to show us. Now, Paul Connolly, now this guy here, this guy is kind of like the Radar O'Reilly of collectors, man.
Mentally ill, thank you.
He can find anything. I mean, this is the coolest guy. He's got so much cool stuff that he's been. How long have you been collecting, Paul?
I started doing private signings with artists about 20 years ago, and then I caught the Skynyrd bug about 4 or 5 years ago, and Leslie Hawkins gave me Dwayne Easley's phone number. I called him, didn't know me from Adam, and the guy's been a gentleman ever since. I've been here 4 times, and this is heaven on earth, man. You haven't seen anything until you come here and get the feeling for what, you know, happened here, and it's just it's an incredible place to visit. You really should come.
Yeah, and Paul, you know, it's a statement because he's got. I mean, name some of the bands that you've got signatures. I mean,
the Young Rascals, Lovin' Spoonful, The Doors, Roger Daltrey, the Eagles. I've done a lot of private signings with people. I've been very lucky.
And on. The list goes on because I've been to Paul's house and he showed me a couple things that he has at his house, but the majority he doesn't keep there. Now, that tells you that he's got the Skynyrd bug. So it's such a statement because he spends more time doing Skynyrd than anything out of all those bands. So collectively wise, what do you think about Skynyrd versus other bands?
Well, there's nobody like him in the world, and music speaks for itself.
Yeah, and so you've been coming here and visiting with Dwayne, and you've also been helping us to get squared away with getting Craig here in October, getting ready for bringing him out to the crash site and stuff like that, and so we appreciate that. And that's another thing that Latrell Metter's been doing. You saw in the last video, Latrell took me out there, so he's one of the few that knows the secret way out to the crash site, and I think that he's a great guide. When he took me out there, you know, he's all kinds of stuff he's explained about where the plane came in at, where it ended up landing and things like that. And now going out there, you guys have, like, over the years have found like pieces of the plane out there, and you've got some really cool stuff to show us. To start with, let's take a look at what you got right here. Mike, what's this?
That's the spark igniter off one of the engines. A friend of mine that I made down here, Billy Arnold, that was there with B&O Welding. They did the major recovery of the plane out of the woods and brought it up there to their shop at Brookhaven, and they stored it up there for many years. He picked those up after they finished their NTSB, National Transportation Safety Board, and FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, all their tests and study. They took the engines. They figured that probably L&A Leeson that had the plane out of Addison, Texas, probably took the engines back for spare parts. But he said they left all these spark igniters back. They had to do a thorough investigation, and you know, we came up with what it was. It ran out of fuel.
Right.
But Billy picked up several of these, put them in his toolbox. When he was 18 years old, he was working for him. He was down there at the crash site, and he said they handed him garbage bags and just said, pick up everything you see and run it by us, and we'll either take it up there for investigation or we'll bury it here in some of these trash piles. And he said, man, 18-year-old kid, I was scared to death. He said, I didn't pick up anything except what they told me to, put it in the bag and handed it off to them. whatever they said to do. He said, guys walking around with badges and guns on their hips, he said, I wasn't going to jail over that. But he was lucky enough to get these, and he gave me one back about 4 or 5 years ago, and Billy and I are pretty good friends, and he's got an interesting story to tell about working the crash site, getting the plane out and all that. And we found a few things down there over the years.
So this could have actually come off the engine that had the problem even.
Could have been. He didn't tell me which engine
Yeah.
or whatever, but he said they were all left in a circle on those radial engines. Said where they picked the engine up, they were all left in the shop floor in a circle, and all the mechanics just picked up a bunch of spark igniters, and he got a few and he gave me one. First real piece of the plane I ever got, except for what we found down there over the years. And
yeah, so if you guys take a look at that, that's a piece of history right there. That's what made that plane fly. And of course we know that it ran out of fuel, so that doesn't have anything to do with it. But that's a really great item.
What were
there.
those engines, Griff? Wasp engines?
Yeah, Wasp.
Horsepower?
Wasp. It's a military engine that they use in all different kinds of aircraft, and it's a very reliable engine actually.
Except when they run out of gas.
Except when they run out of gas. That's what Craig always says. If they'd have put gas in it, wouldn't have been a problem. Paul, what do you have? You have something cool to show us.
Yeah, well, on the plane they were known for playing poker constantly, especially Ronnie and Billy and Gary. And these are 3 original poker chips that were found in the woods.
Wow, how cool is
and
that?
This is green. This is the actual color. This is the poker table. The green pieces from the poker table. So, you know, this is about as good as it gets. If you're a collector or a maniac like me, this is as good as it gets. So I really appreciate having these items.
The poker chips and the actual table that they were playing.
Right.
Then now, where did you find those? Like right together? Were they?
No, they were separated. They were on top of the dirt. They had a lot of hogs back there, wild hogs. And what happens after a rainstorm is they dig down, and things pop up to the surface. And it's been going on for years. And just happened to be back there with a tour with some of the survivors. And lucky enough to get back there and found these items, and I cherish them. You know, this is as good as it gets as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and for that to be together in the same area, that's pretty cool. I mean,
listen, man, this whole area, this just coming here is magic. It's like there's no, I call it Mecca, you know, but there's no place like it on earth, and it's all because of this guy over to the left who's a quiet hero, and he's just a great guy, and he donated this land, and it's a special place, man. If you don't come here, you're missing it.
So there's actually pictures of that table and the guys playing Ronnie and I think it was Billy Powell,
and
right?
Gary Rossington, yeah.
And Gary Rossington.
Yeah.
And that was in it might have been the Pepsi Challenge movie. I forget which movie it was in, but is that it? Yeah. And so you could do a screenshot on that, but it's in that movie.
You can still see the dirt though inside. You know, I don't play with it too much, but yeah, it's amazing to find these things after
do a little close up on that.
40 plus years, you know, later that we'd find these types of things. It's pretty
so
insane.
Cool.
Thanks to the hogs back there, you know. Thank you, hogs. But yeah, that's it.
And over the years, people that have gone back there, that's not the only chips that have been found back there. As a matter of fact, there's some other people that have some when they walk back there, but to have a red one, a white one, and a blue one, and then a piece of the table, that's like a perfect, you know, it's like a perfect storm right there all together, man.
Luck.
You can't get any better than that, right?
Very lucky, very lucky.
All right, let's move on to something even cooler. How do we want to do this? You want to pick that up right there, maybe Latrell, and bring it over here by Dwayne?
Yeah.
This is actually, I guess, the escape window that came out of the fuselage right there.
Emergency escape window. It's got it written right here.
Oh, okay.
Emergency push for emergency.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see that, but you push that in order to pop it out. So.
Yep.
So how did you come about this piece here, Dwayne?
Well, it was about 2 years after the crash. A friend of mine was back in there hunting, and he saw this up in the bushes. You had a lot of frost, and it killed all the leaves, and he could see it. And he brought it out to me. It's about 2 years after the crash.
So you know, I guess the FAA, when they were out there were pieces strewn all over the place, and they weren't able to find that, and then he was just rooting around through the woods and came across it.
Just happened to see it.
Wow. Yeah, so look at that thing. That's pretty awesome. As a matter of fact, Dwayne had it in the back of his truck, and a lot of people, when they come out here to the monument, you know, they come up like these people, right, these gentlemen right here, and they get to meet somebody like Dwayne out here, and you know, this is a guy who was actually involved with the rescue, and then they see this piece of the plane. It's like, you know, they hit the lottery when they come out here, and get to hear some stories that Dwayne tells, and see actual pieces of the plane. But that's a rarity for anybody to be able to see something like that, and we appreciate you sharing that with us, Dwayne. That's really cool. Now for the big reveal. Latrell, now you were out there, right, Latrell? And not just recently, we were out there and looking at a way to get Craig out there, and you came across something that is almost like,
well,
it's...
To go back, I really have no affiliation with the monument. I've been friends with these guys for a long time, and over the years, Mike would call me and say, "Hey, I'm taking a bunch of city slickers out in the woods.
Right.
I need some help wrangling these people."
Kind of like a tour guide, yeah.
Well, just you take people. These woods are serious out here, and a lot of people aren't used to going out in the wilderness like this. So that's how I got tied in with these guys. So, but yeah, we were back there last year. We took one of the pilot's sons back there and came across a few things. It was when we were there.
And you almost got attacked by some hogs.
Oh, on our trip, yeah.
Because we were out there, and I saw him. He came running. He was out of breath, and he goes, "Hey, Griff, there's some hogs over there." And I was like, "Where?" And he goes, "Well, they were just chasing me a minute ago."
Yeah,
so,
I came up on a baby, and the mom, she didn't take well with that.
Yeah, and the hogs, they're not very nice when they got their babies around. So they'll take a slice right out of your leg and hobble you. So what happened? You were out there, and then you happened to find something, and share with us what that was.
Yeah, we take people out there and just give them their space and their time to do what they want to do out there. And as we're walking around, sometimes you'll just see things, and I came across that on that.
Now this is like, if Craig, you're looking at this right now, you know what this is, because flip it over there, Latrell, and let's take a look. What's that say? That's a reed, and I believe Craig wrote that on the back. This has been in the ground since October '77, and it's still in great shape. And it was in the same area, right, Paul, as the poker chips and the table. So
yeah, it's probably about, as I know it, it's probably about 50 yards by 40 yards.
Paul?
An area that's known. Mike knows more about the path
You better
when
hurry
the
up.
plane came in and everything, but I've been educated by them a little bit on
You're
the
missing
area
some
by
shit.
going back with them.
So being able to find that, I mean, that was a big plane, right, Dwayne? And to be able to find a stage pass like that, and poker chips and a poker table on that big of a plane, it's almost like it was just meant to be. What else you got there, Latrell?
Well, again, the hogs dig pretty deep, and there was some garbage bag stuff, and inside the garbage bag, the playing card was in there. Of course, it's separated, and you can hold it up to the light, and it's really thin, but
yeah, jack of clubs.
But it's amazing that for it to survive all this time.
So the guys were sitting on the plane. They had that card in their deck on the card table that Paul has with the poker chips.
Yeah, it's the Holy Grail.
Oh my God! Let's look at that again,
Latrell.
Latrell.
That's scary. It's all intact, and
that is. I know Craig's going to freak out when he sees this. So that's like really. It's almost like it was meant to be. Craig's coming out here in October, and then they find this. So it's almost like Ronnie Van Zant's up there with Gary, and they're going, "You guys need to support this monument," because it does take some upkeep and things like that. And these guys right here, you know, they want to keep this memory of Lynyrd Skynyrd alive, and of course Dwayne, he's made a lot of donations, and Mike, he's on the board doing things, and you got guys like Paul, and you know, they kind of help the Lynyrd Skynyrd story, and then you got Luttrell, who takes people back to the crash site, tour guide. So what a great showing of all these things, the cargo escape hatch and the spark plug to the engine. You know, this is like stuff nobody ever gets to see, isn't that right, Paul?
You better believe it, man. This is a rare thing. Michael owns, besides this, he owns some incredible stuff, because he was back there very early. In the earlier days, there were more things on top of the ground, and then people, I guess, got back there somehow, and things just started disappearing.
Even in the documentaries, I mean, there's footage of when Mike was just standing there and, you know, pulled up pieces of metal out of the ground. If you look back at was it CMT or what?
Yeah, that's on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
The documentary, If I Leave Here Tomorrow.
So it was established fact early on that there were a lot of things back there, but now, you know, over time things have deteriorated and fallen apart, and it's just...
Yeah, and there's like trees have grown in there now that, you know, are like 10, 15-year-old trees, and there's roots everywhere, and it's just impossible to get back. It doesn't look anything like it did, isn't that right?
Hurricane Ida did a number on it too.
Yeah, there's
100-year-old oak trees that fell right where the plane was, and I mean, it's all growing up now that a family of raccoons can't hardly walk through the forest floor, so grown up now back there.
And if it's been raining for like a couple weeks, it's a swamp, isn't that right?
Kind of, it gets wet back there a little bit.
The time of year, Dwayne, when the plane crashed, was it similar? I mean, as far as the conditions, is it similar to like right now, or was it more swampy back then?
Well, we'd had a really big rain about a week before the plane crash, and normally that creek doesn't have much water in it, but it was about thigh deep, waist deep, whatever in some places that particular night, because we had just had a lot of rain. But you know, it gets muddy and swampy in the winter time. Summertime is dry, but it was not really wet much then. We'd only had like one big rain.
So that creek, the deepest it gets is probably like waist high or something like that.
Yeah.
And it just so happened to be like that when the plane crashed.
Right.
And that's why Artimus had to jump in there and check out how deep it was so Kenny could go across. Now, as far as the plane, after they did their investigation and the wreckage was back there, what happened to all that wreckage that was back there,
They took
Dwayne?
it to, I think it's B&O Welding in Brookhaven, Mississippi. And it stayed there, I don't know, 20 years, long time. But the FAA had to do their investigation up there. And I think it was finally the people that own the shop got in touch with the FFA, and they told them just get rid of it. It just sat there.
So it ended up getting scrapped, right?
Scrap metal.
How did they get all those big pieces out of the woods?
They pushed a little road back in there, and they brought in a crane and some trucks. They picked stuff up with crane and loaded it in the trucks. And they got everything out except the little small, tiny pieces like they found.
Yeah.
You know.
Like poker chips and stuff like that. Of course, back then that was all just trash, and nobody thought that it was going to be valuable, you know, except guys like Paul Connolly here, who Radar O'Reilly, you know, they know that things like that are historical and the value that they have, and Paul's an expert on that stuff, and so he's a great guy to have around, you know, here to tell stories, and you know, as far as what the value of this stuff is, and he's a researcher and he looks up things like that, and like he found the picture of Ronnie and those guys playing poker, so he's somewhat of an investigator. Okay guys, hey man, this has really been great. We got the cargo escape hatch here, Dwayne easily telling the story, and then of course Mike's got that igniter for the Wasp engine right there, and then Paul, let's take a look at these again. Man, that is so cool. You know, I know people that are watching this are saying, wow, man, I wish I had that, right? And then, of course, the Holy Grail right here. Craig, I don't know, man. You might have to come up with some money to give Luttrell for that, because he ain't going to give it to you. I know Luttrell. You might have to trade him something. Craig's got some stuff.
Yeah, get in the attic, like he says.
Yeah,
drag out some good stuff.
Get in. Start getting in the attic, Craig. Let's look at the back of that reed again. Let's see reed on the back.
Getting those $100.
Look at that, Craig. Craig, did you write that on there, buddy? That's really neat. So it had to be Craig, because we know he's a neat writer. And you know, my phone rang a couple times, and you know, but we're all about real time here, and it kind of interrupted us. But we just keep right on roll. What you got, Mike?
Just one more thing I wanted to say. We'd love for everybody to come to the monument and everything. We have it marked on Interstate 55 south of Macomb. They're the big historical signs that tell you Lynyrd Skynyrd Monument, give you directions. If you're coming north from, say, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, whatever, up 55, exit 8, and you'll see the signs. Get off, go west on Highway 568, it's 8 miles out here. You'll see the other sign on Easley Road, tells you to turn, Lynyrd Skynyrd Monument. Or if you're coming from the, if you're coming north on 55 that way, if you're coming south toward Macomb, come on below Macomb, exit 8 again, like I said, 8 miles off of there, and Easley Road. It's all marked. You just really can't get lost. Throw your GPS away, because we don't have a cell tower out here. We don't have good signal. Your GPS is not going to work. It's just going to get you lost. Just follow the signs, bring you right here. And don't forget, we have another monument, a mini monument, up at the hospital at Southwest Regional Medical Center, Marion Avenue, right up there at exit 17 at Macomb. Go by and see the little mini monument right out in front of the emergency room. It's kind of very similar to this, done by the same company. It was in dedication to their 50-year anniversary and for them taking care of all the survivors.
Yeah, because they had a huge role in fixing those guys up that were in you know, the survivors.
Some of the doctors are still working up there today that are up there. They're good friends with us.
And if you're gonna, like, where's a good place to stay? Hotel accommodations?
Just have to Google it up, but there's like the Hampton, there's the Days Inn, there's the...
And then Macomb?
Yeah, Macomb. Macomb's the only place to stay. Kentwood doesn't really have anything, which is just south of the Louisiana line. Best place to stay is Macomb, you know, if you're going to make a day of it. Or come see us in October. We'll have the 46th anniversary right here. Probably have a few bands, all that kind of stuff. Hey, El Presidente here can hook y'all up with that, you know.
Yeah.
I'm taking over his job, you know, I guess. But
yeah, Dwayne, he's kind of like the silent ruler, you know. He's kind of like, if you want to get it to go through, you know.
He doesn't do anything without technically advising with me. You know, I trained him and everything he knows.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you guys do get along pretty well, you know, and but Dwayne, he's a really cool guy to hang around.
I'm like his best ally, you know, right there. He's my
well, you know, he donated the side-by-side that, you know, that took us out there, and he's a very gracious guy, and you know,
great guy
it's the best place for a plane to have crashed. That's what I always say.
Couldn't have crashed in a more convenient place.
Yeah, it's you know, the people around here were so helpful, and you know, if it weren't for them, no telling how many wouldn't have made it, you know.
The doctors and nurses from the hospital came on out, like our buddy Dr. Lewis, Dr. Hank Lewis. He came on out here, him and Dr. Myers and I forget the other guy's name. 3 of them came out here just to do whatever they could to do triage right there on the site. You wouldn't find that anywhere else. And they, like I said, to be right off 568 where you could get right through that pasture that used to be there to get right to them, you wouldn't have crashed in a more convenient place where you could have got expert help that quick, you know.
And it's a beautiful area on the way out here. It's rolling farmland, and just it's just a great visit. So it's not just the monument, it's a nice peaceful place to visit. So and there's a lot of cool fishing around here too, isn't there, Dwayne?
Yeah.
Some old Civil War sites.
Yeah.
Just don't go fishing at Dwayne's house. He got a no fishing sign up over there. He been catching people. They try to sneak out to the crash site, and they try to sneak into his pond and go fishing. But
yeah, let me iterate that. Look, the crash site's on private land, so don't try to go out there. We have a good rapport with the landowner. he's all on board with us with the monument. He even told me the last time we talked, he said, I tell people, go up to the monument. It looks a lot better, and they've done a great job with it. He said, there's nothing to see out there, and there's really not. You really got to know how to find it, and it's a jungle out there, and not knowing your way in. People like Luttrell and I, we know our way in like the back of our hand. We've taken people out there. He will sometimes on the October weekends let us take like the survivors and some of their families, like we took the pilot's son out there. But it's just not good business to trespass on somebody's land. You know, he might get kind of antsy about it.
You wouldn't even know where to find it or where, I mean,
they could GPS it, but ever getting out there in that jungle, you're not going to find it if you don't know your way in there.
I've been there 3 times, and if it weren't for Luttrell, I'd get lost every time.
Everything looks the same out there. So I mean, there's no marker, there's no hole in the ground or any pile of debris.
And what are you going to do if you run up on a rattlesnake or a wild hog attacks you or something like that? There you are. You know, who are you going to call? You're not even going to have cell phones.
And Dwayne might think you're a coyote trying to go after his chickens, and you put a little lead in your ass.
You're trying to go fishing in this lake, and he might shoot you. You know.
That's right.
Well, we appreciate you guys, and Dwayne, we really appreciate what all you've done as far as donating property out here, and Mike for, you know, being pivotal on the board and organizing things and making things happen out here along with the rest of the board members, and Paul Conley, your knowledge and you know, your ability to identify things that came off the plane, and just kind of like spreading the information of all the history that came off that plane. And then guys like Luttrell who you know, find stuff like that. That's amazing, and for taking people out there.
Old Horseshoe over there.
Yeah, we call him Horseshoe. That's his new nickname, because every time he walks out there, he goes, hey, look at this, you know, and everybody else is like going, well, why did I stepped right over that, you know?
He's got lasers like Superman, you know, he can see things that no one can.
I'm younger than all you guys.
That's true.
That's true, too.
Yeah, I was standing on a poker chip, and he said, hey, look out, let me pick this poker chip up, you know. So I think he sold them to Paul, you know.
Yeah, that could be. I can't tell you. That's a top secret, man.
Can't deny or confirm.
That's right.
Well, we appreciate you guys coming on the podcast, and I'm sure all the viewers are going to love seeing the things that you presented here, and Craig for sure is going to be freaked out when he sees that. So thanks again, guys, and y'all come out here to the monument. I'll do a little walk around here at just a little bit of what you got here to see.
Hang around, buddy.
It's all nice carved granite, and then here's a passenger list of all the people that were on the plane.
It's okay if you get in it.
And that's what it looks like. Very peaceful day out here. You guys come out, you're really going to enjoy it, and we'll be seeing you soon.
Happy trail.